Morning and hello, Blue Jays fans. I'm your host, Craig Bourne, here on Jays Latest. So let's talk all things Toronto Blue Jays because that's what we do here on Jays Latest. So, Blue Jays unfortunately coughed one up a little bit yesterday after jumping out to a giant, not a giant lead, but a good lead. It is what it is at the end of the day. The Blue Jays had a 3-2 lead going into the third, and it just unfortunately fizzled. So going into the fourth, I mean. But anyways, the Blue Jays got out to an early lead. The Blue Jays scored, in the second and third inning, a total of 3 runs on some, I'll just say, nice baseball. It wasn't anything crazy, just moving the guys around. After Ernie Clement got on base, Alan Roden doubles them in. Really, really cool to see him have a nice hit past Walker in right field yesterday for the Twinkies. As far as that went, it was obviously a gamble on Walker's part to dive for said baseball, but it ended up scoring a run. Ernie Clement comes in, makes it 1-0, and it just kind of was back and forth a little bit. Bottom of the second, Christian Vasquez grounds out with the bases loaded, scores a run. That was Bowden Francis' day, but we'll get to that in just a moment because it was working into trouble and then having to work out of it for the most part. Twins end up taking the lead momentarily. Trevor Larnach hitting a sac fly, scored Ty France. That was also in that same inning. And then in the third, the Blue Jays were able to take the lead with some clutch hitting from Alejandro Kirk and George Springer. Kirky hits a little sharp ground ball through the side to the left fielder, scores Bo Bichette, puts it tied to the game. And then George Springer comes in and hits a hard line drive that was like, you know, centimeters around the left field foul line and scores Kirky. Or no, sorry, scores Vladdy. That makes a little more sense. No offense, Kirky. But Springer is finding ways to turn on inside pitches lately, which has been very, very interesting to watch because that doesn't seem like his normal game. He usually waits for something over the plate. So this is something that has become a norm over the last. It's definitely how his home run was the other night on Saturday. He destroyed that ball. So anyway, let's talk how the Twins continued to climb out of this because that was all 3 runs that the Toronto Blue Jays would hit in their 6-3 victory against the Toronto Blue Jays. So Bowden Francis, unfortunately, gave up 4 runs. And the coup de grace here was Brooks Lee hitting a home run. It's the most home runs allowed by any major league starter is Bowden Francis right now. And I believe it's 17. Ouch. So Brooks Lee hits it to tie up the game. And then right after that, because why not add to that total for Bowden Francis, hits another home run. This is Christian Vasquez, back-to-back home runs. The backup catcher gets his second home run of the season and effectively knocks Bowden Francis out of this one, I believe. So at the end of the day, Bowden Francis did not have a wonderful start. Had trouble locating again as he walked 5 hitters. Um, his record drops at 2-8, 3.1 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 home runs, as I mentioned, only striking out 2. So Bowden Francis, man, we need you to get calm and own your shit. Get back to your mantra and throw the ball. I know you're having location issues are driving much of the problems. Got to find it, bud. We need you. So, on that note, like I mentioned, the game just continued to slip away for the Blue Jays. It kind of bled out after that. Mason Fluharty comes in and actually had his first rough outing in a long time. Mason Fluharty has been a breath of fresh air in this bullpen. Um, Gives up 1 hit but allows 2 earned runs with a walk, and that puts the Twins up 6-3 at that time. That's how the score would remain for the remainder of the game. And to credit to the Blue Jays, the rest of the bullpen, Eric Swanson, Brandon Fisher, and Paxton Schultz um, continued to combine to not allow any more runs for the last 3 innings. Well, 4 almost, but regardless. Um, The bullpen looked good outside of Fluharty having a rough day for the first time in a long time. So I'm only going to take today with a grain of salt, and we'll go from there, and we'll just pick it back up. And at least the Bowden Francis spot now is separated a little bit and bookended to give the bullpen a day off. So hopefully things move in the right day. Paxton Schultz was rewarded with this good outing by automatically being sent down to Buffalo. That's about how it works for pitchers. The Blue Jays did accept the contract for Spencer Turnbull. He is available as of this evening, but I doubt he'll be doing any pitching because he actually had the start when we had our bullpen day on Friday, maybe. Yeah, Friday. So he actually lines up perfectly right now for the right amount of rest to not have that next one be a bullpen day, or it'll be him combined with Lawler for the quote unquote bullpen day. So that actually does help the Blue Jays in certain fashions. So it'll be interesting to see if that's where everything lines up here, as the Blue Jays obviously need Turnbull here in case somebody lays an egg over those many days, and we'll see what happens. Outside of that, we did get some good pitching news that after all the sim games and everything that Max Scherzer has been pitching, apparently things are on track going toward a rehab stint. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition or not. And the other wonderful news from that sim game is Dalton Varsho was actually one of the hitters in that sim game. If the hammy is bugging him that bad, I don't think he'd be playing as a hitter in that sim game. So that was nice to hear that two of our guys could be getting close to returning, and both of those guys would obviously be a shot in the arm for this team to be able to get a little injection of some extra crazy talent, or at least an igniter. The two of them being in the locker room obviously does shift the mood. So good stuff. So I want to put a couple of guys on notice here, not notice, but to that point, Springer and Kirky have been a really good force in the 5 and 6 spot in this lineup. Sometimes the 4 and 5 spot, depending on who's playing and what day. They've been a breath of fresh air this last few days and last week. They have found ways to be clutch. They have found ways to move base runners around. They've come up with key hits and key home runs, and it's very, very cool to see the two of them doing what they're doing. Obviously, Kirky is a centerpiece to this team for a while. Springer, we're getting the last bets of baseball juices, to quote baseball or Moneyball, out of. But he is all of a sudden found the fountain of youth, and knock on desk that things keep continuing. Comes up with a clutch hit regardless of the 3 strikeouts yesterday, which is just unfortunately part of his game. Nobody's going to change him, and he's been 251 with 10 home runs. So keep him moving. Kirky, meanwhile, batting 303 and leading this team in batting average. Bo Bichette being the one leading this team in hits. But that's what the difference is between batting in the lineup in the leadoff spot versus being in the middle of the order. So just want to mention good things for the Blue Jays there on that, because there's some really good pieces coming and going here that could help. And let's talk road trip. Going to St. Louis, the Blue Jays will be playing the St. Louis Cardinals this evening at 7:45. That's June 9th. And they will be taking on Andre Palante versus Jose Barrios. Palante has been having a decent season, but kind of Bowden Francis-ish. So we'll see what is going to happen. So maybe the Blue Jays get a chance to beat up on him, because his actual last 7 games looks almost identical to the way Bowden Francis has been pitching, especially in the ERA category and whip and walks and stuff like that. Meanwhile, Jose Barrios has been having a wonderful stretch, and currently in his last 7 games has a 3.21 ERA. And when you look at his last 3 games, he's only allowed 4 earned runs against the Tampa Bay, Atlanta, and Philadelphia. So he's found a way to do something really cool. Not a lot of big sample sizes to talk about on either pitcher, obviously, being an interleague play game. So nothing really I can point out here other than somehow Vlad Jr. has a home run against Palante. And I can only think it was Palante was in the bullpen last year for the Cardinals, and it must have been one of those games. So either way, cool stuff. That's what we're here for. Talk Blue Jay baseball every day. Make sure you join us, and we'll be, talking latest on Jay's latest. Tune in, get the subscribe buttons, like, share, and subscribe. Cheers.